If your bike is not braking efficiently or making funky noises when braking, it probably means your brake pads are worn or contaminated and needs replacing. Well, Nicholas from Bicycle here, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to easily do that, go through everything you will need and what to look out for. Let's get started. In order to replace your disc brake pads, depending on the brand, you'll either need a 2.5 or 3mm hex key or a flathead screwdriver, depending on the retainer pin, a needle nose pliers, disc brake cleaner or isopropyl alcohol, paper towel or lint-free rag, a digital caliper or ruler to gauge the wear of the disc pads, a piston separator like the one from Park Tool, but in most cases I would rather opt for a plastic tire lever, a brake fluid funnel or syringe for SRAM riders. This is not entirely necessary, but great to have. And lastly, new brake pads that are compatible with your rotors and calipers. Best way to check this would be to remove the pads, which I'll show you how to do in a minute, and then either take them to the local bike shop, or there should be a code on them which you can use to look up online. However, any brake pad online will usually always state which model or series they are compatible with, and if the form is similar, you should be good. Also note that brake pads are available in different materials, including organic resin, semi-metallic and metallic. They will differ in terms of braking performance, noise, heat dissipation, etc. And some brake rotors are only compatible with certain materials, so make sure to double check that as well. Now that we have everything we need, we can get started. So for most models, when the brake pad material has worn down to about 0.5mm or has gotten contaminated with oils, then it is time to replace the pads. You can check this visually from above and roughly gauge how much material you have left, but best way to check this is to take them out and check the thickness using a digital caliper. To remove the brake pads, you'll first need to remove the wheel. Then get out your needle nose pliers and remove the retaining clip on the one end of the retaining bolt, but don't lose it. Then remove the retaining pin using the correct hex key or flathead screwdriver, so in this case a flathead, and set the bolt aside. The new pads will usually come with a new pin and clip, but in case they do not, you can reuse the old ones. Now from the non-rotor side, you can simply slide out the old brake pads. At this point, you can also then double check the pad wear and also find the code on the back of the brake pad. And also from this point on, don't press the brake lever until we have put the wheel back on. Now before we put in the new brake pads, we need to clean and reset the brake caliper pistons. The pistons are what push the brake pads against the rotor. Over time, as the brake pad wears, the pistons will extend out to compensate. Therefore, they need to be pushed back so there is space for the thicker new pad. Before we push them back in, get out your isopropyl alcohol or brake cleaner, pour some on paper towel, and then feed it through the caliper to wipe off any grime on the pistons. Now, this step is not always necessary, but it is good practice. When pushing the pistons back, it'll force fluid up to the reservoir chamber in the lever, create pressure, and potentially damage it, especially if there is too much fluid in the hydraulic line. So to avoid this, go ahead and open up the lever cap bolt, but before you do this, make sure the lever cap is parallel to the ground so that no fluids drip out. Then screw on the bleed funnel or syringe, and if you have some on hand, pour in a bit of brake fluid into the funnel. However, this is not necessary. If you do not have a funnel, then just wrap a paper towel around the lever to catch any oil that might come out. Now take out your plastic tire lever and then carefully but also firmly and evenly push back the pistons on each side so they are flush with the caliper wall. Don't push too suddenly, otherwise the fluid will just spray out. Once they are fully backed up, we can then move on to the next step. We can now get our new pads, making sure to only handle them on the back plate to avoid contamination. Place the return spring between the pads. This will help the pads to return and back off the rotor plate. Then if they have any, pay attention to the direction indicators marked on the pad, so left and right side. Push the pair together and slide them back into the caliper body in the right direction. Now get out the new retaining pin and clip, or use the old one if it didn't come with a new one. Feed it through all the holes including the return spring and thread it using the flathead screwdriver. Then lastly, put the clip back on, and then before you put your wheel back on, give the rotors a wipe with brake cleaner or isopropyl alcohol to avoid contamination. Now if you had the funnel on but without fluid inside, or you did not have a funnel on at all, then go ahead and close up the fluid cap bolt. If the funnel is still on with fluid, then leave it on for now. Then we are going to loosen up the caliper mount bolts with a 4mm hex key so that we can get it aligned with the brake rotor, as 90% of the time it will not be in line when you change the pads. Then go ahead and squeeze the brake lever about 5 to 8 times to set the pistons. If the funnel with fluid is still on, this will also give you a quick brake bleed. If you notice dirty fluid coming out, you'll need to do a full brake bleed soon. Then on about the 8th squeeze, hold down the lever and retighten the caliper mount bolts. The rotor should now be aligned with the pads, and when you spin the wheel, should not rub. If it is still rubbing, then it could mean the rotor is just off center or loose. We will cover rub in another video. And now you are set. If the funnel is still on, go ahead and plug it up and remove it. If your brake levers are still feeling slightly sluggish, then it does mean you'll need to do a full brake bleed, which we'll cover in another video. Lastly, before you go out on a proper ride, you'll need to bed the pads in to ensure that they bite the rotor. To do this, take your bike outside, bring the bike up to some speed, and then brake firmly about 5 times, but not too firmly that you go flying over the bars. This will get rid of that new top layer on the pads and wear them into the rotors to ensure a proper bite. And there you have it, you are ready to hit the roads and trails. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If so, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. If you have any further questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. And until next time, peace.